In my last life, after I was admitted to graduate school, I was tricked by my parents to go home for a blind date. The blind date thought that my gift was too high, and she forced me in front of his parents. Mai was no longer a virgin and had no choice but to marry him. If I didn't obey, I would be stabbed in the spine and humiliated to death by relatives from all over the small county. But I would rather die than surrender and struggled hard. In the end, the blind date was so angry that she strangled me to death on the bed. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn. Before the blind date, looking at the arrogant blind date in front of me and the parents who were helping the evil, a sneer flashed in my eyes. If I were to live again, I would definitely make your family destroyed and pay for the blood debt with blood. When I was dragged into the room by Chen Yang, I heard Chen Yang's mother's cheers. The old woman, who had been oppressed by her husband's domestic violence for decades, stared at me with shining eyes and praised her son, saying that he was worthy of being my son and that he had a good idea and dared to ask for a gift of 200,000 yuan. Isn't this going to kill our Chen family? Mom will keep the door for you and quickly rape this bitch. Without her innocence, I don't think she dares to raise the price. After saying that, he directly locked the bedroom door and was about to be hit by the wall. I didn't sit there and wait for death. While he was taking off his clothes, I grabbed the ashtray on the bedside and smashed it hard on Chen Yang's head. I hit him so hard that his head immediately opened. She screamed in pain and stared at me angrily. The next second, he rushed to me and grabbed my neck fiercely. While pinching me, he tore my clothes viciously. Zhang Bi, you dare to hit me. I tell you, even if I don't do anything today, as long as you leave our Chen family, you are a slut who has been slept with. I wanted to treat you well, but I didn't expect you, a bitch, to refuse my toast. As he said, he tore my clothes and was about to grab me, but I kicked his dick. This time he was completely angry and his hand on my neck tightened suddenly. The last thing I was aware of was Chen Yang's panicked voice. You bitch, you are not breathing. I am dead. My body lost consciousness, but my soul slowly rose. I saw my mother crying and choking at my body in the police station. But Chen Yang's mother wanted to compensate him 200,000 yuan. The condition was very simple. He must issue a letter of understanding and tell the police that Chen Yang and I were actually lovers and my death was just an accident. Because the lawyer I hired said that the maximum penalty for rape resulting in death is death. But if it is a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship and someone is killed, it is abuse, and the sentence is only 2 to 7 years in prison. If there is a letter of apology, it may even be only 2 years in prison or suspended sentence. For the 200,000 yuan, my mother agreed. Facing my dead body, my mother and father smiled happily. It's not that Mom doesn't want to avenge you, but that's 200,000 yuan, 200,000 yuan. With this 200,000 yuan, your brother can marry a wife and pay the down payment. You are now a hero of our Zhang families. And you don't want our Zhang family's incense to be cut off, right? Looking at the wolf-hearted family, I felt my heart was broken. I hated it so much that I wanted to bleed. Just when I was about to pounce on that family, my eyes suddenly went black. When I opened my eyes and looked at the luggage in my hands and my parents standing in the bus station with mourning clothes, I realized that I was reborn. I was reborn when I just got home. When she saw me getting off the bus, my mother, who always disliked me, trotted forward and rushed to pick up my luggage. She said, "You are such a heartless girl. I have raised you for such a long time. You have grown up as soon as you went to college. You haven't been home for 2 or 3 years. Why is your luggage so heavy? Let me see all these clothes. You didn't study hard in college. You only knew how to dress yourself up." Seeing my mother's slightly jealous scolding, I just wanted to sneer. She said the same thing to me in my previous life. At that time, I just thought that my mother had a sharp tongue but a soft heart. I didn't know how to express it. Otherwise, why did she always dislike me? But this time she mobilized the whole family to pick me up at the station. But now I know that she treats me well only because my younger brother has reached the age of marriage. But my family can't afford the high bride price, so they can only trick me back home to marry and sell their daughter to marry a wife for my younger brother. After thinking this through, I felt sick when I listened to my mother's guns and sticks. I don't intend to be humiliated if I live my life again. I sneered and retorted on the spot. Why don't you go home? Don't you know why I don't go home? After entering college, my family didn't give me a penny. In addition to attending classes, I worked part-time to earn money for my studies. I also had tens of thousands of student loans on my back. How could I have spare money to go home? After saying that, I snatched the suitcase from my mother's hand and sarcastically said, and my grades in college were the first in the department every year, and these clothes were bought by myself working part-time. What right do you have to slander me? As soon as I finished speaking, I saw the unbelievable look on my mother's face. If it were me in my previous life, I would never say such harsh words to her. I always feel sorry for her being abused by her alcoholic father and having to work hard to run the family unraised children, me and my brother. So even if she favors boys over girls, I still feel sorry for her taking the initiative to take on most of the housework at home and even working part-time to earn money to supplement the family during the most important time of her senior year. But the facts tell me that the first lesson for East Asian girls is to learn to let go of the desire to save their mothers. I will always remember that before I was dragged into the house by Chen Yang in my previous life, I heard my mother calling Chen Yang. When she learned that Chen Yang was going to rape me, she didn't worry about me but scolded me. She called me an undisciplined bitch and asked why I had to meet my husband before getting married. She also said that all this was my own fault. If my betrothal gift was 1 cent less because Chen Yang raped me, I would have to pay double out of my own pocket. After scolding me, he cried and said that his life was miserable and that his son was finished. With such a worthless sister, he would not be able to get a good wife in the future. Thinking of this, my hatred for him became stronger. My mother looked at me staring at him, and the insults on her lips were forced back. She stammered a few words, saying that the conditions at home were not good, you know it. After saying that, looking at the latest AJ on my brother's feet, I sneered on the spot. My mother also looked over in the direction of my gaze and shut up immediately. My father, who had always been indifferent to my affairs, saw that my mother was speechless after being confronted by me and glared at him fiercely. When he turned to me, his attitude was unprecedentedly good. Bazh hi, your mother doesn't know anything, don't listen to her nonsense. You finally come back once, and you are about to graduate. It is right to rest at home for a while. After that, he laughed twice and took my luggage on his own initiative. But I was too lazy to talk to him anymore and got on the van first. The car back to the county town was shaking and the air was humid and hot. My younger brother was playing a gun battle with an external speaker on the side, and he cursed his teammates with dirty words. In such an uncomfortable environment, my mind was unprecedentedly calm. I carefully reviewed everything that happened in my previous life. I was the most ordinary girl in the county town, with an alcoholic father, a son-loving mother, and a useless brother. In such a family, my final destination was only to grow up in a daze until I was 18 years old, and then marry a man and have children, and use my womb in exchange for hundreds of thousands of betrothal gifts. Most of my peers have accepted their fate, and now their children are 2 years old, but I am different. When I graduated from junior high school, I was the top scorer in the entire county, but my father wanted me to drop out and work on the assembly line. It was the headmistress of the neighboring county who came to me and sent me to school with a scholarship of 50,000 yuan. Even so, she was still afraid that my father would make me drop out of school, and even signed a contract with him saying that if I breached the contract, the 50,000 yuan scholarship would be doubled. That's how I got to high school. When I took the college entrance examination, I lived up to everyone's expectations and became the top scorer in the county again, and successfully got the admission notice of 985. But my father said that women without talent are virtuous, and forced me to give up school and go to the south to work to earn money for my brother's down payment. In front of the reporters who came to the county to interview him, he spoke to the camera. Zhang Baizhi is the calamity of our family. If he hadn't sucked away all my son's intelligence, he wouldn't be where he is today. I really don't understand the society now. In our time, girls got married at the age of 15, but now they are still allowed to go to school. I think you are just bored. I'm leaving my words here today. I will tear up the admission letter from any school that sends him one. If you want him to go to school, you must buy one, get one free, and take my son with you. After this statement, coupled with the spread of public opinion on the internet, he became completely famous. Under pressure from public opinion, the county leader personally handed the notice to me and sent a special car to take me to the university to register. During college, I had excellent academic performance and was finally appreciated by a big shot in the industry. The tutor appreciated me and promised to choose me as a student after I was admitted to graduate school. My tutor's wife knew my family situation and felt sorry for me. She also introduced me to several part-time jobs. The income from these jobs guaranteed my 3 meals a day at school. After the guaranteed postgraduate study was over, I went home to transfer my household registration at the suggestion of my teacher's wife. Just when I was only one step away from escaping this county town, an accident happened. The matchmaker brought Chen Yang to my house. My parents were happy to match me with this man they had never met, just because he gave the most betrothal gifts. I struggled in every way until the day before the final transfer of household registration. I went to Chen Yang's house to show my cards, but Chen Yang cursed and pressed me on the bed and strangled me to death. Thinking of this, I almost hated to bleed. I would have had the best future. I worked hard to get into college, and was recommended to graduate school from the battle of thousands of troops. If I work hard, I will become a government-sponsored student in the future and go abroad for further studies. But now I was sold by my parents at a clear price to a man who didn't even graduate from junior high school. Why is it just because I'm a woman? I don't accept it. In this life, I must make you people lose your families and pay for your blood debts with blood. The van swayed into the county town, and I got off the car first. No one was waiting at my door early. When she saw me, the old woman's eyes lit up immediately, and I knew what she was looking at. I am very beautiful, not the kind of ostentatious beauty that exudes the scent of money, but the kind of beautiful girl who is suitable for the family. In the jargon of matchmakers, it means a good family tradition, the beloved of cheap men. At the beginning, my tutor also judged me by my appearance until I rejected the local male classmate who came to me. He turned around and cut my brain with a knife and sliced it for experiments. Only then did he completely accept me. Seeing that no one was amazed by me, my mother was very proud and looked at her arrogantly. Did you see it? This is my daughter. Let me tell you, she is a top student from a 985 university. Don't look down on her and introduce those rubbish to us. After saying that, the man nodded repeatedly, turned around and hurriedly went to the agency to contact the man. Looking at the back figure that was walking away without anyone, I just felt extremely ironic. When I was admitted to university, they looked down on me. Now that my academic qualifications can become a plus point in the marriage market, they are proud of me. I looked at my mother coldly and sneered. When did I promise to find a partner? Why did you find a matchmaker without my consent? As soon as I finished speaking, before my parents had time to say anything, my younger brother, who had been playing games with his head down, looked up and looked me up and down with disdain. You are an old woman in your 20s. What else do you want to do if you don't want to get married? In another 2 years, when your uterus degenerates, can you still give birth to a son? By then, if you give birth to 5 or 6 money-losing goods for your in-laws, they will ask us to pay back the betrothal gifts, but we will not pay back a penny. As soon as I finished speaking, I slapped him hard in the face. I used great force, and my brother was completely defenseless. He was beaten so hard that even his cell phone flew out. He looked at me with his face covered in disbelief. Zhang Baizhi, you think dare to hit my own Yao Zhai. The mother who was beaten directly pounced on with heartache, covering her brother's face to check the situation. Seeing that his face was swollen, he turned his head directly, and the disguised maternal love in his eyes disappeared. He glared at me fiercely like an enemy. Zhang Bai's you've hit my son. I gave you face, right? Looking at the mother's furious look, I just wanted to laugh. Just a slap can expose this woman's true colors. But she knew clearly that from childhood to adulthood, my brother had always beaten or scolded me. In the 3rd year of high school, my brother was given money to enter the worst high school in the county. My mother said that I was selfish and only knew how to study, but didn't know how to help my brother and forced me to make up lessons for him. But when I was explaining the topic, I just spoke a little hurriedly, and my brother punched me in the face. He scolded me and said that I was just an outsider. How dare I yell at him? I cried and complained to my mother. But my mother comforted me nonchalantly, saying that your brother just has a bad temper, but he is not a bad person by nature, and you as a sister should learn to give in to him. In this way, I have endured for more than 20 years. I might have endured it in my previous life, but I won't in this life because I know that the price of feeling sorry for this group of people is that I will be exploited by them and never be reborn. I watched my mother speak ill of me with cold eyes, but I was still fearless because I knew that they would not do anything to me now. After all, I'm now the biggest cash cow of this family. If I were disfigured, then no one would definitely raise the price, and the bride price would be greatly reduced. Even though I was so disobedient to my traditional father, I was uncharacteristically pulling my mother, who rushed forward to avenge Xiao Ziyu, and then turned around to comfort me. I don't listen to your mother scolding you. Your mother is suffering from menopause. He and your brother actually miss you, right? After saying that, he glared at my mother threateningly and then reminded him that I was pinching his wrist like a hint of a lot of money. My mother nodded subconsciously as if she was in pain and fear, watching my brother apologize to me reluctantly. I pretended to go with the flow and accepted his apology with a cold attitude. After all this, my father's affectionate expression, I smiled and said, "Dad, I don't want to get married, but you have to tell me in advance so that I can prepare well." I am now apologizing all over my body. His parents must look down on me. If they look down on me, can they give me a high gift? As soon as these words came out, the expressions of my father and mother changed immediately. Seeing how they weren't worried to wake me up, a smile flashed across my eyes. My father seemed to have suddenly realized something. He looked me up and down and immediately said to my mother, "Bihi is educated after all, and the baby is different. You should push W or N away first and wait until tomorrow to buy 2 good clothes for BA on the street, and then let W or N bring someone else. Don't let others see our baby clearly. The head of the family has spoken, and my mother has to compromise no matter how unwilling she is." He glared at me with gritted teeth, reluctant but helpless. No one dared to disobey my father's words. After putting down my luggage, I ignored my mother's hint that I should do housework and slept comfortably in bed until 12 noon. After getting up, I sat down on the dining table with my mother's resentful eyes. After eating and drinking, I sat with my legs crossed, picking my teeth and playing with my mobile phone, leaving my mother alone to clean up the mess. According to my personality in my previous life, I would never do such a thing. I would definitely feel bad for my mother and take over the dishwashing job so that she can have a rest. But now I don't plan to put myself in a difficult position anymore because I know that my mother's suffering is all her own fault. She is the one who spoiled her son to be lawless, and she is the one who chose to continue living with her alcoholic husband. I have no obligation to bear the suffering that belongs to her, but my mother can't stand my idleness. While packing up her things, she hinted to me, sorry, that I am really destined to be a hard-working person. I have a son and a daughter who are not filial, and I don't even have a helper at my age. She originally thought that I would feel bad for her, but I smiled coldly. Raising her eyebrow, she said, "Mom, it's not that I don't want to help you. People say that daughters are teachers. If no one suddenly comes to our house now and sees me doing housework here, people will definitely look down on me. Then he will go to the man's family and say that I'm not valued by my parents. People will look down on me and will not give me much betrothal gifts." As soon as this was said, my father was fooled. She glared at my mother fiercely, and then she turned her head and smiled at me, praising her, saying, "My daughter is right. It's your mother who has long hair and short knowledge. Don't pay attention to him." I smiled and nodded and continued to say, "Dad, you are right." In order to deal with the blind date well, I watched the strategy video all night yesterday. As I said, I transferred several videos to his mobile phone. I heard from experts that if you wear cheap clothes and sell cheaply, the blind date will look down on you. Don't underestimate a small blind date. There are many tricks in it. No one is the most cunning, and they will work with the man to lower the bride price for the woman so that they can get kickbacks. Hearing the last sentence, my father's eyes suddenly widened. "No one will take kickbacks." I immediately nodded seriously. Yes, no one is more cunning. The teacher we learned it in class at that time said that they took a case last year. The man and the matchmaker agreed to ask the woman to lower the price. The original 480,000 bride price was reduced to 150,000. In the end, the matchmaker took a kickback of 100,000 yuan. After saying that, I sensitively saw my father's eyes suddenly widened and finally added a knife. We can't let the matchmaker find our loopholes and take advantage of us. Once it comes to his own interests, my father is not dizzy or blurry. He immediately said, and I must appear in front of the blind date in a glamorous and beautiful way, and I must not let the matchmaker lower the price. I nodded with satisfaction. In this way, under the urging of my father, my mother had to take me to buy clothes. Although the county town where I live is small, the consumption level in some places is not low. With my mother's painful expression, I swaggered into the shopping mall, looking at the 3,000 yuan tops, 2,000 yuan skirts, and 1,500 yuan of blood on the counter. I waved my hand and asked my mother to pay directly. My mother was about to refuse, but she remembered the fist raised by my father to him, and she could only grit her teeth and pay. Seeing her cutting flesh and bleeding, I just felt extremely ironic, because the money she was distressed about was given to her by me. When I first went to college, I was penniless and had tens of thousands of student loans on my back. At this time, my mother came to me to cry about poverty, saying that the family could not make ends meet, and asked me if I had any money, and I just believed her lies. During the 4 years of college, I worked hard and even fainted at my workstation due to hypoglycemia. But this family was like a blood-sucking worm lying on me. For 4 years, they sucked a full 70,000 yuan from me. If I were to live my life again, I could choose to let myself go, sign my household registration, and run away. But this would be too cheap for these ruthless, selfish, and self-serving bitches. Not only would I want to give myself a bright future, I would also make these people spit out all the blood they sucked from me, and then pay the blood debt with blood. In order to make a lot of money from these beasts, I changed my usual simple appearance and went on a big sale. In addition to clothes and shoes, I went to the Apple mobile phone store and bought the latest Apple mobile phone. At this time, my mother couldn't stand it anymore. She held my arm tightly, her eyes almost blazing with fire, and said, "You're almost done with the white paper. Have I given you face? It's fine if you want this and that, but now you're even taking advantage of me." Looking at my mother's anxious look, I innocently raised my old mobile phone with a screen that was broken into a spider web. "But Mom, I'm wearing bright and beautiful clothes and holding a Nokia in my hand. Do you think it's reasonable? Will people see that I'm pretending at once?" After that, I comforted her in a soft voice. "Don't worry, this store allows returns within 7 days without reason. I'll buy it first and use it and then return it after the blind date." As I was talking, I opened Taobao on my phone. I showed the interface to my mother, and when she saw the send of 7-day returns without reason, her expression looked better. He glared at me fiercely and said the ugly words in front of me. "Then I warn you, don't play any tricks on me. After the blind date is over, if you can't return it, you have to compensate me at the original price." Seeing my mother relent, I nodded quickly, rushed into the mobile phone store, and bought the latest Apple mobile phone in full. I am tall, and when my mother paid, I looked down and saw that there were only a few hundred yuan left on his mobile phone. This time I completely drained it. I nodded with satisfaction, and then pretended to be generous and treated him to a fried skewers. After returning home, I directly took out the card from the old mobile phone and put it into the new mobile phone to activate the system. My younger brother, who had never used an Apple phone before, woke up from a late sleep and saw the mobile phone box on the coffee table in the living room. He immediately became frightened and his eyes were blank. "Who bought this for you?" I deliberately shook the phone to him to show off. How about what my mother bought for me? After that, he couldn't sit still and rushed into the kitchen to make a fuss with his mother. After all, although he is favored, his mother is reluctant to buy him the latest mobile phone. Looking at my adult but still childish brother, I just want to laugh. "Look, this is the giant baby you spoiled. Didn't you try your best to calculate me for this giant baby? Well, you just wait to wipe the ass for this giant baby in this life." Even though my younger brother was making a fuss, my mother didn't let go. After all, he really has no money now, and the passbook at home is still in my husband's hands, and he doesn't know where it is. My mother went out to buy vegetables, and seeing my younger brother sitting dejectedly on the sofa, I turned on my phone and pretended to make a call. "Xiao Zhao Zhang, if you have no money, don't ask me to borrow it. There are so many softwares that can be loaned. Hey, as long as you pay it back on time, it's fine. Why are you afraid of using the money in advance? It's not murder, our son. I am like this. It's normal. I tell you, the loan limit for my software is tens of thousands. As I said, I admired my new manicure. Anyway, I think young people should be better to themselves. Anyway, there will be many hard days in the future. Just buy whatever you want. Buy it early and enjoy it early. After saying that, I pretended to chat for a few more words before hanging up the phone. After doing all this, I glanced at my brother who was sitting on the sofa thoughtfully, and a smile flashed in my eyes. Dad and Mom, you will wait to pay back the loan sharks to Yao Ziyu next. At noon in the afternoon, I took my father's rented car to meet Chen Yang. When I arrived at the door of the coffee shop, my father mysteriously took out a gold bracelet from his pocket and urged me to put it on quickly. I raised my eyebrows and saw my father's excited face. I bought it with the money in our family's passbook. It weighs 40 grams. But I'm just lending it to you. Don't break it. Your brother will need it when he gets married. Seeing my father's precious look, I shook it calmly. The bracelet was indeed real, sheathed with heavy gold, and a smile flashed in my eyes. Why should I give it back to you? This is my money. We deliberately arrived 10 minutes late before entering the coffee shop, which was completely different from the previous life. In the previous life, the matchmaker brought Chen Yang with an impatient face into my house and saw me, wearing street goods, vines in my hair, wearing an apron, and washing dishes in the kitchen with a haggard face. Because of this, he automatically put me in the ranks of the easy-to-do cooks and treated me with contempt. But this time, it was completely different. I put on exquisite makeup and the wind of light luxury, all with the fragrance of the provincial capital. When I sat opposite Chen Yang, I deliberately used my bracelet-wearing hand to adjust the gold-rimmed glasses on my nose. Although I was dressed normally for college, this inexperienced, cowardly beast bowed his head. Seeing her lack of arrogance, a hint of irony flashed in my eyes. No one saw my high-profile appearance, and I secretly said that it was not good. He deliberately looked me up and down, Pily, supporting Chen Yang. Hey, you are a top student from the provincial capital. You have no sense of time, and made us wait for so long. And don't be weird, little girl, your skirt is too short. Go out and recruit more people. This is how we wear it here. Seeing that no one was picking on me, my father, who was sitting next to me, knew that he wanted to suppress it but couldn't, and just when he wanted to stand up and scold him, I pushed him down. I just smiled faintly unmocked, saying that the tutors group meeting just now was delayed for a while. And since everyone has given me advice, don't blame me for being too talkative. I went out to get my nails done and saw your daughter going to the guest house with two young men. Guess what? Your daughter was wearing the same skirt I was wearing. I pretended to be surprised. Could it be that your daughter was wearing the same skirt? Oh my God, this is terrible. I remember the custom here. If a girl sleeps with someone before marriage, no one will want her. Seeing me pretending to be surprised and talking nonsense, no one was obviously anxious. They pointed at my nose and cursed, "You little bitch, what nonsense are you talking about? Fart your mother." My daughter is very honest. The county town is so small that even the waiters in the coffee shop know us. When she heard the gossip, she stretched her neck and eavesdropped excitedly. Looking at the anxious look of the matchmaker, I just felt extremely ironic. After Chen Yang strangled me to death in my previous life, the matchmaker's business immediately became bad. Everyone said that he made dirty money and introduced low-quality men with violent tendencies to girls. In order to continue to make money, the matchmaker started to spread rumors about me with Herd Otter, saying that it was not his fault at all, that I was a playboy when I was in college in the provincial capital, and I even slept with a black man. After getting dirty, I ran to Chen Yang's house to ask for a sky bribe price, which angered the honest Chen Yang. Rumors can kill people. Looking at the matchmaker, who is now unable to defend herself, a smile flashed in my eyes. Since he likes to spread rumors so much, I will let him and his daughter taste the taste of being spread rumors. Seeing that I looked innocent, the matchmaker was so angry that she pointed at my nose and said she would sue me for defamation. Unexpectedly, I took out my mobile phone and showed her the photos. In the photo was surrounded by 3 or 4 spirited guys in the billiard hall. Herd Otter was wearing a white shirt that could see through her underwear and a short skirt that reached her thighs. The matchmaker, who often boasted about Herd Otter's honesty, just shut up. Seeing me like this, she stood up with a sneer. Okay, little girl, you've read too many books and become too powerful. I can't do your business. After saying that, he ran away. After she left, I looked at Chen Yang, who was sitting opposite me. Looking at Chen Yang, who was dressed neatly in front of me, I smiled slightly, and Chen Yang's eyes, worst rate. He stared at me and couldn't speak for a long time. After a long while, he finally said, "Wait a minute, I'll call my parent." Looking at her timid look, I just wanted to laugh. 10 minutes later, Chen Yang's parents came late, completely different from the arrogant ones in my previous life. When they saw my difficult look, their attitude immediately improved. Chen Yang's mother smiled and asked me a few questions, nothing more than how many children I wanted to have, what I was reading now, and what I wanted to do in the future. And I smiled and answered that I wanted to have some boys in the future. I am currently studying biology in the provincial capital, but I am preparing to take the teacher's position in our county in the future so that I can take care of children in the future. She is beautiful and has a good temperament. She is willing to have children and will become a teacher in the future. She is simply a good wife and mother in the new era. After saying that, I pretended to be shy and looked at Chen Yang. Chen Yang was embarrassed by my look. It was completely different from the previous life. Without the matchmaker's belittling, Chen Yang's parents treated me very well. They even generously raised the original gift of 100,000 to 250,000. When my father heard that I could sell so much money, his mouth was almost cracked. On the way back, he kept telling me to get in touch with Chen Yang more in the next few days. Looking at his money-obsessed look, a sarcastic smile flashed in my eyes, but I still agreed gently. After returning home, I saw my younger brother sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed. He was holding the same Apple phone as me in his hand, and the pair of feet on the coffee table were also wearing the latest running shoes. The game played on the phone was his brother. "Dude, where did you go to make a fortune? Why did you suddenly buy such expensive equipment?" Seeing me come in, he immediately replied in a high-profile manner, "Why do you care where I make money? I have made an appointment with several assistants at the billiard hall tonight. Will you go if I treat you?" His brother quickly agreed, but I pretended not to see it and walked straight into the room. In the following time, Chen Yang began to ask me out frequently under the instructions of his parents. I readily agreed because I knew that I had to make my parents let down their guard against me. While my parents were at work and my brother was out, I used the excuse of going out with Chen Yang to steal the household registration booklet, fill out the forms at the local police station, and get a visa. Looking at the heavy gold bracelet on my hand to support the occasion and the household registration that was taken out, I breathed a sigh of relief. Now that I have a way out, the only thing left is to make that group of people pay the price. Chen Yang was very satisfied with me. He thought I was a condescending person because I was well educated, but I was as patient with her as the heroine in the 26-year-old female tenant in Jiyu who, this made him ecstatic. After eating the small hot pot in a shopping mall, I used the excuse of going to the bathroom. When I came back, I saw him smoking and showing off to his brothers in the aisle of the mall. I tell you, I am serious this time. She is beautiful, a teacher, and most importantly, she is not materialistic at all. I will go out with you guys after I take down this picture. With the hand for function on, the brother opposite first complimented him and then asked him hesitantly, "What about Xu Lingling? Didn't you have a good relationship with him before? He said yesterday that you had already discussed the marriage." When I heard Xu Lingling's name, my eyes flashed. I finally got what I wanted to hear. I turned on the recorder on my phone, and then Chen Yang snorted with disdain. "Do you think I'm a keyboard warrior or a cuckold? Just play with Xu Lingling, who has been slept with by countless people, and have fun with her. You really want to marry her home. You don't mind her being dirty, but I do. You should marry a clean wife. You know nothing." His words made his buddy hesitate. "But what if Xu Ling comes to you for an explanation? What will you do?" As soon as he finished speaking, Chen Yang spat fiercely with a disgusting smile on his face. "He came to me, and it happened that I took some good photos when I was with her. If he dares to make trouble with me, then I will take these things out and share them with my brothers." As soon as he finished speaking, before his brothers could say anything else, he hung up the phone. Looking at the complacent Chen Yang, a sarcastic smile flashed in my eyes. Chen Yang loves to take advantage of others. He used sweet words to deceive a young and beautiful receptionist. After taking advantage of him, he turned around and went on blind dates, hoping to find a good wife and mother to serve him and give birth to his children. But how could such a good thing happen in this world? After I died in my previous life, Shen Yang was arrested by the police. He had to pay compensation to the Zhang family, bribes, and connections, but Chen Yang only had a few dollars in his hand, which was not enough to spend. When he was desperate, Chen Yang asked his parents to give him the video of himself and his ex-girlfriend Zhu Lingling in an attempt to blackmail Zhu Lingling. Zhu Lingling was afraid that the matter would be exposed, so she could only take out the 100,000 yuan she had saved. But it is impossible for Chen Yang to do this in this life. On Friday afternoon, I just came back from outside and heard my mother's sharp cry, "Why did you smash my things? Why did you arrest my son? I want to call the police. If anything happens to my son, I will make you look good." After saying that, there was an even more violent sound of things being thrown from inside the door, and along with the action of destroying things, there was the voice of the sloppy gangster. "Why you smash your things to ask your son? You dare to report that our billiard hall is involved in pornography and gambling. If I don't beat him to death, it will be a face for him. Your son is in our hands now. I will give you 3 days to collect the 500,000 yuan your son owes us. If you delay for 1 day, I will chop off one of your son's fingers." After saying that, the gangster walked away with the people who smashed the place. I looked cold and went straight into the house. The house was in a mess. My mother was sitting in the living room crying. When she saw me coming, she seemed to have found her backbone and threw herself into my arms, crying and saying, "You have to save your brother. He is innocent." Looking at my mother's unreasonable appearance, I just wanted to laugh at his innocence. If he was innocent, even dogs would not eat shit. These the money my father gave me to treat the little sisters who lived in the billiard hall to a few meals and successfully penetrated their inner circle. So I knew about my brother's affairs as early as this morning. These days, he came into contact with loans and fell into it much faster than I expected. He spent the money from the loan without a clear conscience. In addition to buying mobile phones, clothes, and skins, he spent a full 20,000 yuan on a prostitute in the billiard hall in just 2 But the prostitute herself had a rich second-generation Brahmin from the county, and yesterday she happened to run into the Brahmin. The owner of the billiard hall would never give up the real sponsor because of her, so he let the younger sister be the sponsor's exclusive companion. This pissed off the younger brother. He slammed himself 2 bottles of beer, first smashed the place, and then fought with the sponsor. After being driven out by the bodyguard, he still felt unsatisfied and reported the billiard hall for pornography and gambling, wanting to die with the sponsor. But what he didn't know was that the people who could open a billiard hall in the county were all powerful local bosses. So now, the billiard hall was unscathed. But my younger brother, F.A., was arrested. And I heard from my little sister that the boss was very angry and said he would give this idiot a good beating. The family was crying and making a fuss. My father didn't dare to come out, so he pushed me out to embarrass me. It's not difficult to find a billiard hall in the county. I originally thought that the compensation of 500,000 yuan was a lion's mouth, but after seeing the venue that was smashed to pieces, I felt from the bottom of my heart that the 501,000 yuan was not a loss at all. The gangster who saw me coming to watch the scene asked me who I was looking for, and I smiled and looked at the pretty little sister standing at the front desk. "You are Zhu Lingling." Zhu Lingling was stunned for a moment and nodded subconsciously. She was about to speak, but I stopped her with a smile. "Don't say anything. I'll play you a recording after listening. If you think it's worth it, then I want to meet the owner of this billiard hall." 10 minutes later, Zhu Lingling with red eyes took me into the office. What surprised me a little was that the boss looked very young, only about 27 or 28 years old, wearing a white shirt and great trousers, looking gentle and handsome. But what was different from her age was the way she scolded her sister. "I told you to study hard and not mess around. A piece of slut like Chen Yang is nothing. You still have the nerve to get close to him. Now it's okay. The photo has been taken. If it gets out, your life will be ruined." Considering that there were outsiders around, she didn't say anything too harsh. I coughed lightly and finally attracted his attention. He reacted immediately, holding my hand and thanking me. "Thank you for telling me whose daughter you are. I promise to reward you handsomely." He looked at me eagerly, but I smiled and pushed his hand away. "I am the daughter of the Zhang family, and my brother is Zhang Yaoxiu, who was in your store yesterday." The boss's face froze, and the question he was about to say was blocked by me. I didn't come here to use your sister's reputation to threaten you to forgive the debt. On the contrary, I can not only help your sister get the video back from Chen Yang, but also make Chen Yang pay the price for secretly filming. After that, facing the boss's vigilant look, I smiled lightly. As for the reward, you helped me chop off my brother's fingers and ask him for more money. The boss didn't believe what I said at first, but after asking for the news, he quickly understood. After all, I am a top student from a 985 university, and I was forced by my parents to go on a blind date with a technical secondary school boy just to exchange for a dowry for my brother. This is quite explosive no matter where it is placed. I agreed with him that a little finger is a deposit. When I get the video in Chen Yang's hand, he will let me escort me to the bus station, and then he will ask me. My brother got the rest of the money, and he didn't worry about not getting the money at all. After all, that was the only Yao Zhang family. According to his experience, it is much easier to get money from Yao Ziyu than from me, a poor daughter. Across the glass room, I watched my brother's fingers being chopped off by a very young gangster. The splashing blood and meat accompanied by Zhang Yao Zhayu's screams made me feel very comfortable. But this is not enough, far from enough. One finger can't compare to the suffering I suffered in my previous life. I just took Zhang Yao Zhayu's finger back home. When my mother saw that thing, she fainted immediately, leaving my father alone, trembling. The burly bodyguard pushed me hard on the sofa and stared at my father. The puppy was playing tricks. I will give you 2 more days. 500,000 cash must not be left. My father's eyes were red, but he couldn't say a word to call the police. Because this is a small county town, a place where village rules and regulations are far greater than legal norms, and local tyrants are extremely powerful. When my mother woke up, she counted all the valuables in the house without hesitation. In his opinion, his son is gone, and he will save his son even if he loses everything. But after all the calculations, even if I add the gold bracelet on my hand, there is still a shortfall of 204,000 pairs. The scarlet eyes stared at me. After a long while, my mother spoke in a hoarse voice, word by word, Bazhi, that's your brother, the only boy in our Zhang family. You should help your mother. This time you have a brother and you won't be bullied in your husband's family. The next day, I stepped into Chen Yang's house again, but this time they changed their original attentiveness and stared at me with ill intentions. After the car that sent me away left, Chen Yang's mother said slowly, Zhang Xinyu, you are barely good, but your brother has not had a good time recently. Your family is in urgent need of money, so I will give you 50,000 yuan as a betrothal gift. You don't have a penny more after marrying into our family. Hearing this, I immediately asked back, didn't we agree on 200,000 yuan? Why only 50,000 yuan? As soon as the voice fell, Chen Yang changed his shyness in the past with cruel eyes and slapped me in the face. I could have avoided it, but I went to meet it abruptly at this time. After the loud slap, Chen Yang sneered, Zhang Bazhi, did I give you face? As for your rotten mother's family, I give you 50,000 yuan, which is a face for you. As he said this, he grabbed my hair and dragged me upstairs. While taking off his clothes, he cursed me with the same words as in his previous life. You bitch, you really think you are worth money, right? I'm leaving it here. Not only will I sleep with you, but you have to spread the word. By then, everyone in the county will know that you are a slut who has been slept with by others. I don't think anyone will dare to marry you. After saying that, he opened the door of the bedroom and threw me on the bed. Just as he pressed on me and forced me, I struggled hard and pinched the root of Chen Yang's life with one hand. The next second, my hand clenched tightly. This is the hand gripper I have been practicing for a whole month. I am sure that this time I can crush Chen Yang's descendants. Sure enough, after I destroyed his life, Chen Yang covered his crotch and wailed, and I pretended to be afraid of being beaten by him and rolled off the bed in embarrassment. While struggling, I pulled Chen Yang's penis and tore it off. While Chen Yang was wailing, I suddenly heard a commotion downstairs. It was the voice of the police. I knew that the owner of the billiard hall had brought the police to get the private video of Chen Yang's sister that was stored in his computer, and I needed the police to prove that I was acting in self-defense. Article 20 of the criminal law stipulates that if a person takes defensive actions against an ongoing serious violent crime such as murder, robbery, rape, kidnapping, etc., and causes casualties to the offender, he shall not be held criminally liable. If I want to activate this law, I must give up something. But in the face of revenge, what are innocence and shame? Only by letting Chen Yang pay with his life can it be considered fair and just. Chen Yang was imprisoned for completed rape. After the police examined his injuries, Chen Yang went from being the proud father of the family to being a eunuch. The thing below him was completely destroyed by me. Just like in the previous life, Chen's family hired a famous internet lawyer to seek justice for their son. The lawyer vowed to defend Chen Yang's innocence and said that I was acting in self-defense. I just lost my virginity, but Chen Yang lost the ability to pass on the family line. He also wanted to use the same trick as in the previous life to find my parents and use money to get them to issue a letter of forgiveness. He also said that Chen Yang and I were actually in a relationship. After all, as long as we were in a relationship, Chen Yang's sentence for rape would be reduced, and I would be convicted of intentional injury to Chen Yang. In this case, not only would Chen Yang be fined, but I would have to serve 5 years in prison. But just when she was making her plan, the self-media blogger I asked my mentor to invite came. She was a student of my mentor, a feminist blogger with 3 million fans on the internet. She directly sent me a wave of interviews and invested a full 50,000 yuan in traffic out of her own pocket. The entry Jinghao Bard Answer College student raped technical secondary school boy, self-defense, and kicked his vitals to blast, became a hot search at lightning speed. For a time, public opinion on the internet swept towards this small county like waves. The judiciary is fair under the supervision of public opinion. The internet celebrity lawyer who said he would defend innocence has had his lawyer qualification certificate revoked for instigating the victim's family to perjure and will have to face several years in prison. As for Chen Yang, he also faces up to 7 years in prison for the crime of rape. This is not enough. Chen Yang's father claims to be the patriarch of the Chen family, but when Chen Yang was in prison for rape, Chen Yang's cousin was admitted to the county's judicial and prosecutorial department. But unfortunately, because of Chen Yang, his positive God also failed. In this province, with a large number of civil servants, Chen Yang's existence also made everyone else in the Chen family hate him. The front desk sister who stayed in the billiard hall said that she learned that her son's Eng Sheng failed because of him. That day, Chen Yang's mother and father were locked at home and beaten up. His mother's face was rotten, and his father was hit on the brain stem by his nephew who respected him since childhood. He became a vegetable directly. The huge medical expenses of the vegetable became a burden on the family. After becoming the focus of the entire internet, I took the lead in opening my own live broadcast account 985. The dramatic fate of girls in the Batter original family are the hottest things on the internet now. I cried in front of the camera and told my 20 years of pain. From a self-taught student to a graduate student of a 985 university, just when I was successful, I was almost dragged back to the abyss by Chen Yang. This real story resonated with many netizens. Carnival romantic carriage, dream castle. The harder I cried and the harder I scolded Chen Yang, the more live broadcast rewards I received. In just 1 week, I not only earned enough money to pay off my student loan, but also had a surplus of 500,000. But this is not enough. Although state-sponsored students do not have to pay tuition, living expenses are also valuable to me, so I have to earn more money. After sucking Chen Yang's blood, it is my parents' turn next. In my previous life, they treated me as a blood bag and forced me to death. In this life, I will not let them go to jail like Chen Yang. Such punishment is far from enough. In this life, I want to make them the material of my videos, the blood bags that attract traffic for me, and they will be constantly cyber-bullied by my fans. As long as my traffic declines, I will pull them out and whip their corpses. I will squeeze out all their value and nail them to the pillar of shame on the internet forever. When I am honored and passed on by word of mouth, they will become the mud under my feet and will never be reborn. The full text is over. Thank you for watching.